Whew, there we go. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Magic Arena Run. Today we're going to be going over midweek magic, and it's everyone's favorite to love or hate casual event, Momir. Now this one's always been a classic. It's always been something that you really have to lighten up. You can't just take it too seriously. You can't take yourself too seriously, for that matter. It's basically a way to unwind and not worry too much about the grind. You only need two wins for this event, and everything is well supplied for you. Now, I will note that the double face cards, I'm very curious to see how they will play out if we do draw them. I know because they come into play, they enter the battlefield as tokens. They do not have a flip side, so if you get the werewolf, it's always gonna be day. Even if it goes nightbound, there's nothing to flip into, so that one's a bit of a bust. And as always, for those who are just figuring this event out, the common wisdom is don't start dropping cards until turn 3. Basically, you want to set it up in a way that even if you were not to get any additional card draw, you should be able to hit 9 mana easily. And for those who are not familiar with Momir, it's basically you get an emblem that states that we'll do it right now. Emblem, so you pay mana, you discard the card, and you create a token that's a copy of a random creature card with mana value X. So before we had before we had all the special stuff from Jumpstart Historic Horizons, Momir was that already. And yeah, and there is a good amount of inequality. It is just bound to happen. Like you start off with a small tree. Your opponent gets another tree that's also a flyer. Well, that one's a bit of a whiff, but we do get to swing, and we at least have a blocker to hold for whatever our opponent's 4-drop is. Yeah, so there are going to be a lot of duds. It's just the nature of the game. Opponent hits. Well, this is never gonna grow because there's no non-creatures, but now this one's sadly gonna trade. We'll see if we can flip up a 5-drop that could tip the balance in our favor. Oh, that does it. So I kind of want to make this 3/3, and I want to make this a 5/5. So 5/5. This one's at least a 3/3. This one's at least 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4. Oh, never mind. Opponent conceded. Yeah, so I kind of miscounted that one a bit there, but we had the tokens to distribute, counters distribute there. I would say that that was not a surefire win. Our opponent there are many other creatures and upper slots that basically act as removal. Even usually the blue ones, because they bounce to hand, and these are tokens, so you don't get them back. Nice gems. Well, could always use a few more gems. Other things to consider here would be, yeah, there are a lot of cards that generate advantage of some sort, so that's something to consider. Also, if you're probably wondering why we don't do stuff at X1, X2. Okay, we don't do stuff at X1 because there are a lot of Hydras that are X1. Ooh, that's a lot of swamps. And the thinking is that, and you won't notice it because of the way it animates. If you plop 0/0, and if it's a token, it just goes straight into oblivion, so you'll never see what happened to it. But there are a lot of duds in X equals 1. Also, the card that you get is usually not worth it. There are a few that are, but super rare. Opponent's going for an X2, and whenever you cast an enchantment spell. So our opponent just got themselves a 1/2 for absolutely no value. They just got a square for no real value. We got ourselves a 1/3, which is not that great either, but we can start chipping in unless our opponent flips a flyer. Also blocks a 1/2 very well. That said, Not far from over, but I also would say that yeah, there are a lot of x2s that there are a lot of x equals 2 that are also duds, and there are also a few hydras at x equals 2, so be careful in that one. Opponent going for an x equals 3, they get themselves a nice camel. With no deserts in the deck, this will just be a plain vanilla 3-2. We in theory we have the advantage, but any one card could change all that, so let's be careful in that one. Actually, wait, we're gonna cancel first. We're gonna attack first because since we're going over a historic pool, there are some cards with raid, so we might occasionally hit one of those, and we want to make sure we don't miss out. We did not in this case, but we do get ourselves a nice iron golem. It's gonna unfortunately trade with the camel. Opponent's gonna go for their x4. And they got themselves a Whisper, which does nothing as well because they can sack 2 creatures, but they don't get anything in return. Now, if our opponent attacks with Solitary Camel, I am forced to block. In this case, I'm forced to attack, so it is kind of the same thing. Opponent should just chump with the camel, get it over it. So we'll go x equals 5. There's no reason to hold back on mana. Could be better. So far none of us got any real good hits. Our opponent actually got a few stinkers. Whoever gets their first real big hit probably is gonna win the game. Opponent gets Pyroclastic Elemental. Oh yeah, as to what lands you want to play. Generally, it's red, black, and then blue that tends to have a lot of activated abilities that require more than one of its colors, so that's why we usually prioritize red. Also, there are a few cards with upkeep costs, so we kind of go along those lines. Now, there is a saying, you don't play at 6 because you're afraid of Bells and Lock, but we are at the point where we're probably not going to win if we... Well, technically, we could wait it out, but you know what? I'd like to live dangerously. Besides, it's the random event. Play something at random. And, okay, we did not... And there are a few good 6 drops, so... taking the risk is... It's always worth taking the risk. At worst, you just... Well, haha, lose the game. Now, generally, this activated ability won't be activated that much because the incentive is usually to just keep dropping cards. Now, that said, it's in much later if there is a theory where you can just drop lower CMC cards and just activate the activated ability. Opponent's going to go for their 6, and they hit Book Devourer, which kind of doesn't do much either. Like, they get to discard and draw that many, but since they're all the lands all the same, so it's not a big loss. So finally hit our red. Yeah, flyers are generally king here. And can't be blocked by artifact creatures, so not quite relevant now. But at least we have a few big blockers. It's pretty much whoever can drop a really decent bomb. At around 6 or 6, 7, 8, there are a good number of them. Opponent's going for their 7. Now, this is also another way to generate advantage. If you're not willing to drop cards, you can just generate dinosaurs en masse. We are technically 1 hit away from beating our... one more extra hit away. I could swing with everything, but I don't like the idea of leaving ourselves open. Opponent's gonna swing with 1. I will throw the block in because there's no reason not to. So we are at 8 mana. Now, I might be kicking myself because there are probably some good ETBs. Also, I don't think there are any raid creatures at 8. You know what? Opponent gets a reprieve on that one. Yeah, let's... So opponent does get to go for their 8. We're pretty much stuck at 1, 2, 3, 4. We're pretty much stuck at 8 drops at this from this point forward. Opponent's gonna go for their 8, and it's Vorinclex, so we are incentivized to kind of end the game by swinging with everything. But now I want to actually play one first. Oh, that was also weird tapping. Oh yeah, because it generates all these triggers. So we better win this one, if not now, next turn. Okay, at least we got an 8/8. So based off this one, opponent's probably gonna just double block. Actually, they can double block in such a way that they only lose 1 card, so there's no need to throw everything under the bus. That was overkill. The correct play would actually be to throw Bookworm and... Oh, not enough. Well, actually, it's enough to kill it, so that's fine. The correct play is actually to just throw 2 big ones and force me to decide. So I'm not gonna get any play. I'm really knocking on wood that our opponent doesn't. So our opponent has 16 mana. The correct play is to choose X equals... I don't think there's a 15 drop. There's definitely no 16 drop. So if our opponent goes 16, that's a complete wash. Yeah, that's a complete wash. There is no 16 drop. Opponent concedes there. Yeah, that's a nice good game. Yeah, pretty much knowing your drops is also very important. We don't have a 13 drop because the Emrakul from what's that set? Emrakul from Eldritch Moon is not here. We don't have a 14 drop. We do have a... I know we have a 15 drop, but I'm not too sure. I know pretty much we have 9, 10, 11, 12. Those are pretty much sorted out. 13, 14, 15 are the question marks in my mind. So got ourselves another Battle Frost and Fire. So we got our 2 wins. So that was relatively quick. But you know what? We've only just started. Let's keep going for at least 1 or 2 more games. This might be a very quick. This might be a quickie, but I'm kind of fine with it. So, also, yep, that's correct. Generally, dropping an X1 is always a bad idea. Opponent does get to have first crack at it. X2 is arguable, but I still think it's very bad. Now, sometimes you might get a good head start, but if you drop a really cheap creature, the opponent is not incentivized to follow up. Like, okay, we got a 1/2 flyer. It could dome us in the end, but the odds of getting a 2 drop that's going to be competitive against this is very low. So with that in mind, we're just gonna pass. Now that said, there is an argument for running this because it's possible to hit especially if you swing first. You can hit a creature with raid, and I think there's one of the creatures with raid makes your opponent discard cards, which is actually backbreaking in this format. So opponent's actually gonna probably go for it. Let's see if they do hit it. It's a long shot, but opponent's skipping the tree instead. Interesting strategy. I can't say I approve though. So let's see what tree drop we hit. Legion Conquistador. We can search the library, but we get nothing, so we'll decline. What are the odds that you have Legion Conquistadors hiding in the deck? So also need to remember to actually play some of these other lands. Opponent's got a 2-point life head start. They might just drop, and it looks like they're going for evens. Nah, I'm pretty sure they go for 5, then they might skip. Okay, so they got a 3/1 flyer. Interesting. Now we'll go for the swing because we're not going to be able to block anyway. And if our opponent decides to block it, I'm perfectly fine. Opponent's in fact deciding on it. Yeah, you have flyers are so valuable here. I would not block. Okay, not too bad. We got ourselves an extra chump blocker, but we're still fighting in the air at least. Also of note that so we'll see what our opponent's 5-drop is. They are definitely gonna play a 5-drop. There's no doubt about it. And survey says, wow. Yeah, this is basically just a matter of luck. Really can't do much about it. So we'll probably discard 1 forest. Pitchburn Devils dies, but our opponent can actually, well, they just discarded their mountain, so they're probably not going to spend it. So we're going to have to wait for our opponent to swing, but we are at a serious disadvantage. This guy's not going to get itself killed. So yeah, sometimes this is the luck of the draw. It is what it is. If you feel like, oh, I lost because of that, hey, you know what? You also lose, and I don't see people get that angry when they lose at the roulette table. Well, at least the responsible people, or at least people who know why they are gambling. There's actually an old saying: gamble with money you can afford to lose. Don't gamble with money that you have to win with. So we're gonna go. So with that, we're gonna go for a 6. Actually, you know what? We're gonna swing first because why the heck not? Our opponent is never going to swing anyway. So we're gonna go X equals 6. It's so unlikely we'll be saved from this one, but you know what? It is what it is. Yeah, that's a good game. Sometimes it's about learning to let go. Actually, sometimes I think we can kind of tell who. I don't want to use the term control freak. It makes it sound like a bad thing. I know people love to be in control, but sometimes it's acknowledging that you are not in control of your entire destiny, but being able to act upon what you can control is important. In fact, I believe Momir is a very good teaching tool for that. Like, you can't control that you're gonna get lands, but you can control which lands you play and when you start hitting with Momir. Like, you can improve your odds that way. So, in fact, right now I saw this one answer. Why not make something that makes more sense? Why not make a choice? And to that, the answer is that is precisely why Momir is great. It is It is about taking away agency. The reason people tend to get too stressed is because they want to have too much control. That said, I highly doubt our opponent is going to actually activate that. They're more likely to drop another creature. But you know what? Sometimes things happen. Hey, we got free venture. Wait, this... So, I don't think we're gonna get much of any other venture here. Hold on, let's check the creature. What does this do? At the beginning of your combat turn, if you enter the... Okay, that's not gonna happen. Scry does nothing. Each player loses 1 life, doesn't do anything. It's literally just to gain 1 life. That's probably the most that's barely the most useful one. It's a weird setup, but it is what it is. Had this been the Dar or any creature that when it attacks you venture into the dungeon, then we're talking. So here, our opponent can gain 3 life if I just decide to block with this, but and I probably will do that. Namely because our 2/1 is our 2/2 is never gonna grow against this 3/3. Oh, and they keep gaining life because of the ability. Well, that's what it is. And here comes the interesting part. This guy is this guy has no backside. In fact, it became night, but it's still on the day side. That's just the nature of it. At least we saw it now. Opponent hits another flyer. We are on track to lose this one because our opponent's gonna gain a big chunk of life. Alternately, I could swing with this one. The fact that our opponent did not swing back is funny. Oh, our opponent's trying to maximize the life gain. Okay, that makes sense. So our opponent's gonna gain even more life. It is what it is. Nothing I can do. Can't control that. But the one thing I can control is to keep dropping stuff. So at least I now have a 3/3 that can match. I'm probably gonna end up just holding this back. Let's see if our opponent hits a good 6 drop. Opponent gets... Everyone's getting flying creatures, so that's a bit concerning. Can't really do much about that. Now 6. Now you see a lot of people say avoid the 6 is because it's literally just for 1 card, Bells and Law. They're afraid that they might win the Bells and Lottery, but you know what? Sometimes that's just how it is. You're not gonna exactly win from that position, so. I might as well swing with this one. Technically, I should swing with both next. Well, that is Summoning Sickness. So that was a good 6. That was a good 6 hit on 6. Let's see. Our opponent's now going for their 7. Opponent skip. No, opponent should not skip 7. They have a good follow up for that. Their 7, it gives them a 4/6. So this hits like a 6/6. Everything else is just fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We will play our 7. Opponent's really gaining a ton of life. Sangromancer's very good hit. And we get ourselves a Mirror Enforcer for our troubles. Whack, whack. Now we're gonna get hit on the bottom for sure. If I swing with both, we also get hit on the top, so that's 9 damage. So there's actually an argument for just holding back. Because because this trades favorably with this. Opponent is skipping. Well, we're not. We're gonna hit our 8, which may not necessarily be good, but it's fine. Enjoy your... Ooh, we hit Villas, so we can... Well, we're not exactly killing anything, but we might get there. So now we're pushing a little bit more because we... There was no reason to skip 7. In fact, you could just drop a lower count. Opponent's going straight for 8. So with Villas, we can start giving up our life equity. Okay, opponent just... Okay, they're never going to cast a spell, so this is always going to be a 5-5. Our 8-8 can trade with these two. But we're going to go for another 9er. Actually, our first 9. Generally, you want to hit 9s even if... Let's see what we hit off this. Basically, we call this the Zakama or Bust game. Oh, wow! Hold on. Your opponents can't cast spells that it shows... Okay, so... Not very meaningful. Because no one is casting spells. Like, I can swing with Villas, just trade for these two and get it over with. But I technically have removal on board. Nah, we'll trade it immediately. Yeah, I figured the opponent was not gonna... I figured there was a chance our opponent was not gonna block. Opponents at 9, they definitely will play. It's pretty... Again, it's what I call Zakama or Bust. Now, you see people going for the 3 mountains because Zakama has an ability for 3 mana. It's a... Well, hexproof. That's not bad. So we're not going to shrink this guy anytime soon. So... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got... I'm swinging it like this so that if our opponent decides to block here... Oh, I forgot I draw cards too. No, I technically could have saved it, but no. And the opponent concedes there. I actually forgot about the draw cards part. And it's right on the card. Just shows not many people played Villas back in the day. But we managed to get... Yeah, we managed to squeeze all the advantage through. I'm actually surprised our opponent stopped dropping creatures at a point. That did not make sense. I think our opponent was trying to make sure they hit 9. But you generally don't want to lose tempo by leaving nothing, by having nothing on board. Yeah, I think our opponent took a gamble on the 9 and it didn't really pan out for them. They were really hoping for Zakama. So this will probably be our last game for the day. And opponent goes for the quick 1-drop. So this will always cost 8, so that's not a concern. So it's a 1/1 flyer. Now I have eaten my words before, so I'll pay attention to what our opponent's 2-drop is before we do catch up. If it's something we can conceivably block, okay, it's just a plain 2/2. So knowing that, we will just take the hit and just go for it. We'll go for the top end. So Adeline is a very good hit though. So that one is concerning. We could probably lose this one just because of our opponent's hit. But you know what? It was a gamble I knowingly accepted. Don't complain too much. So the bright side is we get to skip to 5 drops. I'm definitely chumping this against something. We have to chump against one of these though. We are taking a lot of hits and we're probably gonna die next turn, but you know what? That was that. Ooh. And it taps, draws them a card. That's good. That was a very bad hit for us. If we had the Hushbringer earlier, probably, maybe. But it's really hard to say. You know what? Let's do one more. Now, the last time I did Momir, I did say the same thing. It's usually best to start a tree, but... But then I've seen many incidental cases where it doesn't pan out. I still think it's objectively a bad idea. Really 2 is the earliest I would start. I really would not start at 1 given a choice. I think it helped because our opponent had the first crack, so that they considered it. Okay. Opponent did not go for it. We're not gonna go for it either. Again, it's really hitting the magic number 9. Opponent might go for a 2 in the hopes of trying to catch me out unawares, which is reasonable. Opponent is going for a 2. The Thunderous Orator is a good one, I would say. With the right cards, it's super annoying to deal with. We got ourselves a 2-4, which, well, we're not... At the least, it blocks this guy, but it's not really paying off anything. The activated ability does nothing. Let's see what our opponent hits a 3. Nessian Centaur Courser, that's fine. I could swing, but it does not... It really doesn't do much, so we're just gonna drop planes. Trample Lifelink is good. It's probably gonna get outclassed by our opponent's 4-drop. Let's see what they hit. Whenever you cast your first spell, so it's just a plain 3/3. Okay, not too bad. I'm gonna swing with this guy first, because even if it's chump, even if we get a chump, I still gain some life off it, so it's technically a small advantage for me. Oh, I almost ended the turn there. That would have been a disaster. Not gonna mutate anytime soon, but at least we hit our first flyer, and it blocks them Trickster pretty well. Opponent goes for their 5-drop, hits an Ox. Now the landfall is very relevant, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Let's cancel for now. We'll swing up in the air. Go for a 6. Most likely we'll. There is a chance it'll kill us, but we accepted that risk. We signed that consent form. Hey, Immortal Phoenix. Now, if this dies, we're not getting it back, but at least we have a 5-drop on the ready. I probably would have tapped this one. Hold on. let's wait. We'll see what our opponent does with their 6. Ooh, nice. Hits a 7-6. We'll take the hit because we're already kind of winning the race. The primordial worm is an issue though. So we go for hit our 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're gonna hit our 7 now. Well, at least we have something to block with. Now our opponent can just choose to tap it down, which is still kind of fine because we know we have vigilance next turn. Opponent is incentivized to hold it back. They really need a flyer to block up ahead, otherwise they're in real trouble. We're probably gonna just max out at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They hit their flyer, so we have to swing with this one. I'm probably gonna just play the next drop, and opponent going for it. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Crash of Rhinos, not very exciting. Here's the thing. I swing with these two. This will trade. Our opponent can also just take the hit here. Opponent's gonna trade flyers, gonna chump block. I'm perfectly fine with that. No, that's not coming back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our opponent will hit their first 8. Now, our Crash of Rhinos can trade with the worm if it has to. I can also just choose to take the damage and swing, and just punch through for the extra damage. Let's see what their 8 is. Ooh! 8-8 Death Touch. So we're probably going to hold this back given a choice. Opponent also held back. So we'll go for R8. Bit painful, but that will set us up for 9 nicely. So our opponent is looking for a way to punch through their damage. That's not going to do it. Oh wow! I should also note that they added some cards specifically for this event to make sure that there are enough duds. So that's 3 damage, equal to the number of mountains I control. Target creature, so yeah, kind of wish I targeted higher. Like, I can swing with all these guys. Let's see, the worst block would be here. Here, one gets through. Actually, it's fine. That's a fine block. Opponent's just gonna take that out. We punch a little damage through, so we're fine with this. Okay, so opponent is doing a double block. Let's see. We definitely want to take out. Actually, we want to take out the Ox. Good stuff. Ooh, Polyraptor, but without a source of damage is super late. There we go, we got it. Opponent concedes right there. I could have easily taken out the Ox if I if I'd known what I was gonna drop, but sometimes it happens. You don't exactly know what you're gonna get. Kind of like a nice box of chocolates. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this very quick episode. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications and whatnot. I do hope that you guys got a better understanding of Momir, and yeah, sometimes it's nice to lighten up. That said, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Have a great week, everyone. Do stay safe out there.